The third area that I'm going to talk about for, I guess, my 6 stops through my classroom is every day they start the day with about 20 minutes to half an hour of free read time. And I really like the concept of it, but I don't know if I think it could be executed a lot better, at least in the classroom that I was in. It's tough because every teacher that I talked to at that class and every administrator said that this was a very unique class in how difficult they were and different things like that. But they'd come in and the kids knew the routine, so they'd come in and grab stuff, but they were sometimes allowed to sketch. There wasn't really any structure with it, and so most of the kids didn't have a book. They weren't prepared, and they would just go grab a Calvin and Hobbes comic or a Guinness Book of World Records and read through that. And not that that's bad, but when you've read, when you're just thumbing through the Guinness Book of World Records over and over, I don't know if that's the best use of your time for improving reading. The thing that I liked is in chapter 12 on page 259, the teacher read aloud / independent reading. I really liked how there's the teacher brings a hook. So the teacher brings a good joke book or the morning newspaper or something that they read as a class that's quick and just kind of shows how we use reading in everyday life or is used in a cross-curricular way to talk about current events or whatever it is. That seems like a good way to kind of start the day officially, because we had so many kids that would roll in, and there was one kid who consistently would take the first 20 minutes of reading to get his shoes on. It was brutal. And so I think a bit more structure could be good. And then maybe make them read chapter books. And again, I don't know if that's good to make them read or not make them read, but I really liked what the chapter said about that, where they kind of read as a group and then they have their own time to read, and it's more intentional in that way. Some things that I gleaned from other teachers that I really like surrounding this topic. The other grade 6 teacher, Mike, he uses this time, he cruises around his classroom and he meets with kids. So during this time, he'll just walk up to a kid and ask probing questions to kind of test their comprehension, to test if they're getting anything out of it, and just even read with them. And he uses that as formative assessment. He says if you have a half an hour and you spend 5 minutes with 3 different kids, you can get through your whole class. Even if you do it once a month, you kind of have a running tally of even mental notes, if not making anecdotal records of the level of reading that your students are at. Along with that, you get a chance to, you can bring them to your desk. Again, there's the debate that we've talked about in class a lot between should you be demoing reading or should you be using it to get work done? And it's tough because you don't always have time, and sometimes things come up and things need to get done. But Mike tries to use some of that time to demo reading as well. For myself, I think I like a combination of those things. Do a daily hook, news, whatever it is, get the kids going, get them reading, do some formative assessment, or not formative assessment, but yeah, maybe formative assessment. Take a look at the kids, see where they're at. Mike says if you spend 5 minutes with a kid, you can tell either they can read or they can't read, or kind of you get a good idea of the level that they're at depending on the words that they struggle with or that they don't struggle with, etc., etc. And then moving into that, and then having some time to read as well. I think that's a good way for our own classroom, because it's all boys and they're rowdy. It's good to have that time to help them kind of, okay, I'm at school now, I'm focused, and so in that sense it's good. But how effective is it for language arts? I don't know.